हेलो एवरीवन, आज ਆਪਾਂ MCQs ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਅਮੈਂਡਮੈਂਟਸ ਤੇ। ਫਸਟ ਕਿਹਾ ਦ 61st Constitutional Amendment Act of 1988 reduced the voting age from 21 years to 18 years. Fundamental duties were incorporated in the Indian Constitution by 42nd Amendment. In which year did the first amendment of the Constitution take place? 1951. To provide opportunities for education to his or her children between the ages of 6 to 14 is the fundamental duty of the parents according to the 86th Constitutional Amendment Act. The Dash Amendment Act of the Constitution of India introduced GST in India. 101. By which amendment of the Indian Constitution the words socialist and secular were added to the preamble. 42nd. Which amendment act add Panchayati Raj institution? 73rd. By which of the following amendments was the right to property removed from Part 3 of the Indian Constitution? 44th. Which amendment to the Constitution of India changed the description of India from a sovereign democratic republic to a sovereign socialist secular democratic republic, and also changed the words unity of the nation to unity and integrity of the nation? 42nd. The term mini constitution is used for 42nd Amendment. Which of the following Constitutional Amendment Act added the right to education? 86th. Article 21A pertains to which of the following rights? Right to education. The 73rd Amendment deals with Panchayati Raj system. The 71st Amendment to the Indian Constitution included Konkani, Manipuri and Nepali languages in the 8th schedule. The concept of amendment of the Constitution is borrowed from South Africa. In India, the voting age has been reduced from 21 to 18 years by the 61st Amendment Act. The 11th fundamental duty was added to the Indian Constitution by the 86th Constitutional Amendment Act. GST was introduced by 101 Amendment Act. Article 368. It is related to constitutional amendments. Under which amendment to the Constitution of India was Goods and Services Tax imposed? 101. 42nd Amendment of the Indian Constitution has added which of the following? Secular. The 42nd Constitutional Amendment was made according to the recommendation of Swaran Singh Committee. 74th Amendment 1992 of the Constitution of India is related to municipalities. Which of the following amendment acts added 4 new subjects? Article 39, 39A, 43A, 48A. 42nd Amendment Act. Which of the following constitutional amendment is related to the 11th duty? 86th. In November 2002, the Supreme Court upheld the validity of the 103rd Constitutional Amendment providing 10% reservation to people belonging to economically weaker sections. Which among the following constitutional amendments of the Indian Constitution deals with the formation of Sikkim as a state? 36th. Which was the amendment done to the Indian Constitution by 52nd Amendment done in 1985? Anti-defection law was included. Which of the following amendment acts laid down the fundamental duties? 42nd. The following duty, a parent or guardian to provide opportunities for education to his child or his ward, was added to fundamental duties added to the fundamental duties by which Constitutional Amendment Act 86? Which Constitutional Amendment Act added provisions related to municipalities? 74th Amendment Act 1992. The 61st Amendment of the Constitution of India reduced the age for voting from 21 to 18. In which amendment to the Constitution were the Bodo, Dogri, Santhali and Maithili added to the list of the recognized languages? 92. Constitutional Amendment Act. Which constitutional amendment provided for the setting up of the administrative tribunals in India? 42nd. Which was the lengthiest amendment to the Constitution of India? 42nd. Which amendment to the Constitution of India added a new subject in the Union list, taxes on services? 88. Which of the following amendments of the Constitution of India gave the status of state to Goa? 56th. Which amendment in the Indian Constitution is related to the extension of jurisdiction of high courts to UT, Union Territories? 7th Amendment. Right to form cooperative societies was incorporated by the 97th Constitutional Amendment Act 2011. The number of Lok Sabha seats were raised from 525 to 545 by which of the following amendment? 31st. Which Constitutional Amendment Act facilitated the appointment of the same person as a governor for 2 or more states? 7th. Reserve has been granted the status of a state by which of the following constitutional amendments? 53rd. Which of the following amendment acts of the Constitution of India abolished the privy purses and privileges of former rulers of princely states? 26th Amendment 1971. Which amendment enabled 27% reservation for OBC in government and private education institutes in 2006? 93rd. Which of the following constitutional amendment had replaced the collegium system of appointing judges to the Supreme Court and High Courts with the National Judicial Appointments Commission? 99th. Separate National Commission for Scheduled Castes and National Commission for Scheduled Tribes were established by which Constitutional Amendment Act? 89th. The Citizenship Amendment Act 2015 introduced a new category of citizens for the persons of Indian origin of certain categories. It is officially termed as Overseas Citizen of India cardholder. Which of the following amendment acts of the Constitution of India conferred statehood to Goa and formed a new union territory comprising of Daman and Diu? 56th. With which amendment act tribunals were added in Indian Constitution? 42nd Amendment. Which of the following options is correct related to 35th Amendment Act? Terminated the protectorate status of Sikkim and conferred the status of an associate state of the Indian Union. So this is my result. Thank you for watching.